So hi lovelies, welcome back to another video. I'm excited to have you. So today we're going to be talking about manifestation, and specifically we're going to talk a bit about the topic of container expansion in your energy. So if that's something that you're happy to hear and you're excited for, stick around. And before we start the video, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my channel. I would love to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I would really appreciate if you help me on my journey to 1,000 subscribers. We're going to be talking about container expansion, and at the end of the video I will give you one of the main way I've tested in my own life that helped me realize and validate my container expansion effortlessly, and I'll give you an example of how that happened. So for anyone who is new, container expansion basically is your energy space, or the volume of what you're able to receive and what you're able to be okay with through your nervous system, and what feels normal to you when it comes to manifestations and your ability to receive your desires, things that you want to manifest. And a lot of ways can be explained by this, where sometimes when we want to look at this aspect from a physical level before we move to a metaphysical, like think about your hand and you being able to hold only 30 grand on your hand. What will happen if you wanted to hold 60k more? You won't have space for that. And so what will end up happening is that energetically you will sabotage that, or you make that does not allow that to happen, because in the universal scheme of things, everything needs a space to exist. And so if your container doesn't have a space for more embodiment, for more realization, for manifestations of what you desire, then somehow you're going to sabotage them in different ways. So the best way to handle this is that, for example, if you have 30k, you can, your space, your container all is able to hold 30k a month. What you need to do is expand the container so that you are able to hold 60, so that you have the energy, you have the space to hold 60. So all this, I want you to understand this in a metaphysical essence. Your container is like the energy volume of what you're able to receive, what you're able to handle without overthinking it, like in a normal state of normalness, to the realization that have you realized that if you want to manifest something and then you manifest it, it eventually becomes normal to you. Like it becomes second nature to you. It almost feels the same as how it felt before you never had it, when you had other things. Like that's the whole idea. Your container needs to breathe. Your container needs to feel like whatever is there is allowed to be there and has a right to be there. So that's the whole essence of a container expansion. And a lot of ways we see this is that some people will come to me, or I'll have even discussions with people, and then they tell me how they've been working on their limiting beliefs and deconstructing them, working on their shadow works and doing so many things in the inner work. Whereas when they compare that, all that work which they are doing, in comparison to what now they anticipate to receive based on the circumstances and their conditions, they don't align. Most of the time when that happens, and when I meet people who tell me this, I always advise them to look at their container and to start being aware of their container, because this is essential. Think about a baby, and then you start explaining to the baby where the nose is and when, like, how they should breathe. They will never get a deep understanding until they learn the whole process of breathing. Like, when you breathe, it goes to your lungs, your diaphragm, and then you breathe out, it comes out. That whole awareness of that allows you to be able to know, to be a better, and to be able to enhance your technique on breathing better and even calming yourself. And it's the same thing when it comes to you allowing yourself to be more aware and conscious about your container. You will start giving it life and allowing yourself to expand with it as it goes. And so some of the ways, when we see some people will work on their beliefs but still change their beliefs and still do the inner work in the same container. So what ends up happening is that they will just deconstruct and clear space from the original container, and that side of the container is just able to hold a specific amount of the desires of the manifestations that they want. And sometimes people, there's sometimes people who have, they already have bigger containers for whatever they would like to manifest. And so what happens is that when they do their inner work, they deconstruct and get rid of things that were taking space, unnecessary space in their container, and there's still enough space left for them to attract things that they want. But that's not the case for sometimes for everyone. Some people do the same work and they can't seem sometimes to manifest what they want because their container is limited, and it's limited to the what they desire and what they want to manifest. So in this case, where you feel like you're doing your inner work, you're meditating, you're journaling, you're becoming aware of your shadow work, you're doing the shadow work, you're changing, deconstructing your beliefs, you're working on your emotions, and you tend to see that some of the time the work that you do is not directly proportional to what you want to manifest, and it's taking longer than you expect, then that's a clear indicator to tell you that you need container expansion. And one of the ways you can start doing this is, the first thing is to become aware of your energetic container. So in the spirit of talking about this, the last couple of weeks I've been having a container expansion moment, and something happened that I want to share with you that will be very fundamental, especially when it comes to expanding your container. And for me, it was what I needed because I realized something. Let me just share with you so that you can see what I mean. So I realized, I knew I wanted to expand my container. Like, I realized I needed to, but I didn't know how exactly, because it's always different for different people. It's almost like different for different people. Different things will make you expand your container based on certain realization in your life. So for me, I'm a Taurus, so I've always been very materialistic. I love my things. I love physical manifestation. I do love luxury. I love all that. And so what happened is, I've always been so conflicted with the spirit. Like, I do know, I knew giving was really essential, but I've always been very hard. What's it called? Like, I've always clinged to things that I own, to things that I love. Like, I've always been that person who loves their things so much they don't want to share them, they don't want to do anything. Okay, I can share, but I don't want to give away. So what ended up happening is that a close family friend of mine asked me if they can buy something, an electronic, a TV set they wanted from me. And I knew, like, this TV set, eventually I would use it. So the first time they asked this, I said no, and then they kind of persisted, and they wanted to buy it from me. But that day, that particular morning, I remember very well, I had this strong nudge to not even take their money and just give my set, to give the television set for free. And this is, like, I really loved this television set. Like, it was my favorite. So, like, I had this nudge to just give it for free, which I did. And then what happened is that, like 10 days afterwards, I started feeling I started feeling regretful of why did I give it for free. I could even ask for something. Like, where was I doing this? It was what so much, like what got over me, like I've always prided myself in knowing, like being conscious of the decisions that I take, especially when I started taking on meditation very seriously. So, like that one moment, I didn't really understand what made me make that choice. And so I went into almost a confused state of why I didn't understand why I made that kind of decision, because I realized I wanted to use it at that moment. I would have loved to use it that time. So I started feeling regretful, and I asked questions within myself, and I found the answer. Like that was a moment of expansion and allowing my container to expand. And I've always had a question where I ask myself, why do so many rich people give things ridiculously? They give out things for free, like the ridiculous amount of money for free to people. And this was it. Like, this is why, because they're trying to expand the container. Because when you're giving, already you're sending message to your body that already, first of all, you're creating space for new. And also it gives you a sense of abundance where you're able to give out. You're already sending a message to the universe that you're abundant, and so you're becoming a channel of receiving of what you want. But it also sets you in a vibration of deservedness when you get to be given things. And when it comes to receiving, you don't fight. When it comes to receiving, you're easy to receive, and you start even seeing, you create space within you where you start seeing opportunities that you wouldn't have seen before. And that's exactly what happened for me. And that is one of the main ways I would urge you, if you don't know where to start in your container expansion, like start with giving. And it's very essential also to realize that you just don't give things to anyone because there's obviously you can make your own decisions, but what I've also realized is really important when it comes to giving things is give out things to people who would use the things you're giving them in a useful way and to expand themselves. That's the best way you can give, rather than giving out things and then to someone and then they misuse the thing, or they destroy it, or they just take it for granted. Always give out things to people who you're sure they're gonna use those things for good, because that's the best way for giving. Giving becomes really essential when it comes to your expansion and your ability to receive things, where someone gives you something and you feel reluctant to receive them. It because you have a spirit of, you don't feel like you deserve, because you're not in the chain, you're not in the circular, you're not in the currency of giving and receiving. So when you start giving out more, you start even receiving more. You start giving out things that you don't really need. First of all, you're creating space and you're allowing yourself to expand to new realization of the new things that you really need to receive. And it expands your container, and you're in a place where you make right choices, for you're not able to sabotage it, because you already have the feeling of abundance and worthiness within you that allows you to receive. Because oftentimes when your container is not expanded enough, you sabotage it, because you're conflicted within yourself, because you don't know when to receive or when to not. And these acts, such as giving, allows you to be more clear when it comes to receiving the things that you really want to receive. So I hope this video was helpful for you. And if you really have a problem with your manifestation, you've been trying to do to change your beliefs, to deconstruct things that were really a hindrance to your manifestation, I would urge you also to look at a container expansion and work simultaneously with everything else that you need to do in your manifestation journey. So I hope that was a beautiful video and it would help in, and I hope it was helpful. If you found anything delightful in the video, like the video and subscribe, and see you next time.